Protests against the Iranian government turned violent as clashes continue in the country. One America's Jack Posobiec sat down with a member of the National Council of Resistance of Iran to break down the situation.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for coming here to join us on One America News today. Tell me a little about your organization and a little bit about MEK.
Sure. The MEK is the main Iranian opposition group that was formed in 1965 to bring about democracy to Iran. Of course, it was opposed to the Shah's military dictatorship.
Now tell me, the protests that are going on in Iran right now, what are they for and why are they happening right now?
Obviously, the protests that you see now are the continuation of the major nationwide uprisings that erupted back in December and January in 142 cities.
Yes.
And it's the main reason, obviously, is the fact that the Iranian regime has been unable to address the many demands of the Iranian people. The economy is on the verge of bankruptcy. So the people now are really seeking regime change.
We've also heard a lot of crackdowns on internet and different communications.
Indeed. In fact, the regime is fearful because now Iranian people, being as savvy as they are, in fact, there are 44 million Iranians out of the population of 80 million who use the application called Telegram to communicate.
Right.
And the regime tried to block it for some time. It also created fork applications to try to basically send in malicious applications to try to get the information from the people who were using those apps.
And we've seen that a lot, that it's so much money has been spent going to support a lot of these groups, the Hezbollah groups in many of these countries, where people are in Iran are looking at it saying, why is that money not being spent for us, for our families, for our children?
Indeed. In fact, since the onset of the crisis in Syria, the Iranian regime has spent about $100 billion there.
Wow. It
is spending billions of dollars supporting the Hezbollah in Lebanon. It is also providing financial assistance, military assistance to the sectarian Shiite militias in Iraq. It is critically important for the international community, for the U.S. administration to be very vocal in its support for these protests.
How do you see, to put it in American perspective, how do you see the Trump administration's policy towards Iran? He got out of the Iran deal, he's putting sanctions, he's been very hard against the ruling mullahs.
I think that to the extent that the administration pursues a firm and decisive policy against the mullahs of Iran, I think that sends a very, very encouraging signals to the people of Iran.
Does it embolden these protests?
Absolutely, it does. I think if Iranian people see that on an international level there is support for their aspirations, that there's an attempt to deny the Iranian regime the means with which it suppresses its own people and foments chaos in the rest of the Middle East, they would be encouraged and they would be emboldened, something that they did not see under the Obama administration.
Excellent. So last question, where do you see the movement going? What is the final goal for the MEK movement?
Well, the MEK, as I said, seeks to replace the current regime. It is now heavily focused on organizing the protests. What it is now particularly concentrating on is to create what they call resistance units. These are groups of young men and women who are getting together, organizing, leading the demonstrations, in a sense trying to connect all these different pockets of opposition across the country together.
I want to thank you very much for sitting down with us today, providing us this information. Maybe we'll be able to go over there and report some of it sometime.
I hope so too.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.